Do you happen to be aware of the societal disapproval towards drugs, alcohol, and tobacco? There are two primary reasons for this. Firstly, these substances have a detrimental impact on our physical well-being. Secondly, they're highly addictive. However, there exists a substance that is even more harmful than the aforementioned substances, and it is readily available in every household. It may seem implausible, but the government is actively promoting its consumption instead of prohibiting it. This substance is sugar. Despite its harmful effects, it is being sold worldwide, and the government is encouraging its consumption. This raises several questions about the sugar industry and what they may be concealing from the public. Consuming honey with sugar or other unhealthy food items may appear innocuous, but it is, in fact, a significant issue. Elevated blood sugar levels can lead to various health problems, including kidney failure, strokes, depression, and other ailments. Sugar is a prevalent component of our daily diet and even more addictive than cocaine, which is quite astonishing. From 2012 to 2023, our nation incurred an annual loss of approximately $197 billion due to sugar, including healthcare expenses and reduced productivity. In India, sugar has caused diseases that have left people in debt for life. However, it is not solely about financial implications. According to a 2015 study, 1 out of every 200 individuals die due to sugary beverages. How did something as trivial as a teaspoon of sugar become such a significant concern? To answer this question, we must delve into the past. Although sugarcane farming began worldwide in the early 19th century, the history of sugar dates back much further. In essence, it is evident that individuals have increasingly incorporated sugar into their diets, with a steady incline observed annually. In 1870, the average American consumed 32 pounds of sugar per year, whereas by 1910, this figure had risen to 80 pounds. The government demonstrated unwavering support for the sugar industry, with sugar accounting for 1/6 of the entire budget in 1880. This backing facilitated the exponential growth of the sugar industry and fostered a widespread addiction to sugar. Presently, those affiliated with the sugar industry are disinclined to advocate for a reduction in sugar consumption. Remarkably, certain influential figures within the sugar industry bribed Harvard scientists to assert that heart disease was caused by fat and cholesterol rather than sugar. This was a calculated move to encourage individuals to continue consuming sugar. Such actions are indeed perplexing. At this point, individuals began to consume sugar, and this use has steadily increased every year. For example, per capita sugar consumption in the United States in 1870 was 32 pounds, which increased to 80 pounds in just 40 years. The United States government entered into a deal with the sugar industry, which resulted in 1/6 of the United States government's total budget in 1880 coming from the sugar industry. Due to the supportive policies of the United States, the sugar industry in the United States grew rapidly, promoting an addictive substance such as sugar. Today, anyone associated with the sugar industry does not want to see the consumption of sugar decrease. According to an article published in JAMA International Medicine, a reputable medical journal, it was discovered in 1967 that the sugar industry mafia paid Harvard scientists to publish a fake report which blamed fat and cholesterol for coronary heart disease instead of sugar. It had only one purpose, which was to increase the intake of sugar among the general public. Kindly note that according to a recent article published by Harvard Medical School, excessive sugar consumption is directly linked to an increased risk of heart diseases. Furthermore, the article highlights that the consumption of sugar in excess can lead to various health issues such as high blood pressure, inflammation, weight gain, diabetes, and fatty liver diseases. It is noteworthy that these diseases are responsible for a significant percentage of deaths worldwide, accounting for 74% of all fatalities. It is pertinent to mention that this report was originally compiled by Harvard scientists in 1967 and has been subject to manipulation since then. The consumption of high fructose corn syrup, for instance, increased tenfold between 1970 and 1990, leading to a surge in obesity rates across the country. Even today, sugar remains the most commonly consumed substance in America. According to data from 2023, the average American consumes 126.4 grams of sugar daily, which is 10 times higher than the recommended daily intake. A similar trend is observed in India, it is imperative to question how such a situation has arisen. Let us begin with an overview of the sugar industry. The production of sugar involves two stages: the cultivation of sugarcane on farms, followed by the transportation of the harvested crop to sugar mills. During the second stage, the sugar is extracted from the sugarcane by processing it through a machine to obtain juice, which is then boiled and refined with lime and sulfur to produce sugar crystals. The sugar industry in India alone provides employment opportunities for over 5 crore farmers and 5 lake individuals, and has a significant impact on the country's economy, much like in the United States. During the 1870s, sugar refineries in the United States initiated a campaign to promote the consumption of refined sugar with the assistance of the government. This involved persuading the government to reduce the import tariff on raw sugar and increase the import tariff on refined sugar. The objective was to decrease the importation of refined sugar and allow the sugar mafias to dominate the market. Despite the fact that raw sugar is less expensive and healthier than refined sugar, which has no nutritional value and is costly, the refinery owners were solely interested in maximizing profits. Consequently, they began to denigrate raw sugar and promote their own refined sugar, even manipulating research to enhance their image. Furthermore, they launched campaigns to dissuade people from consuming raw sugar by spreading rumors of bugs in it. Astonishingly, their efforts were successful, as the consumption of refined sugar has tripled in the last 50 years. The escalating global health burden of non-communicable diseases, such as heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, is a matter of great concern. To comprehend the impact of the sugar industry on our nation, it is imperative to examine the 4 criteria outlined in the book Alcohol, No Ordinary Commodity by the distinguished psychologist Thomas Babar. Through these criteria, Babar elucidates the significance of regulating alcohol for public health. These same criteria are equally applicable to sugar, which warrants further exploration. The first criterion is unavoidability. Our forefathers had limited access to sugar 2 to 3 centuries ago, with fruit sugar being the primary source, available only during specific seasons. Honey also provided sweetness, but it required significant effort to extract from beehives. In contemporary times, sugar is readily available in processed and packaged foods, leading to increased consumption of this easily accessible substance. The underlying reasons for this phenomenon, specific to sugar, will be expounded upon in the ensuing sections. Let us now turn our attention to the second criterion, namely toxicity. In contemporary times, it is commonplace to observe discussions on the impact of sugar on our physical well-being, both within the scientific community and in the media. The general consensus is that sugar contributes to the accumulation of excess calories in our bodies. However, the reality is far more complex. The primary effect of sugar is on our digestive system, which medical professionals refer to as metabolism syndrome. This condition is the precursor to a host of diseases that manifest sequentially. When sugar is consumed, the sucrose present in it combines with uric acid, leading to an increase in blood pressure. If this continues over an extended period, it can result in hypertension. The liver is one of the organs that store excess fat. However, excessive sugar consumption leads to a significant increase in fat accumulation, making one susceptible to non-alcoholic fatty liver. The third issue under consideration pertains to the phenomenon of insulin spike. When an individual ingests a sugary substance, there is an immediate increase in their blood sugar level. In response, the body releases insulin to regulate this elevation. However, to restore the blood sugar level to its normal state, the body must release an excessive amount of insulin. If this process is repeated over an extended period, the body's ability to produce insulin decreases, ultimately leading to the development of diabetes. Proceeding to the third criterion delineated by Babar, it concerns the potential for abuse. Sugar has the capacity to suppress the intensity of ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. Consequently, when an individual consumes a sugary substance, they may experience a rapid sensation of satiety. However, the addictive nature of sugar consumption is attributed to the release of dopamine in the body, commonly referred to as the happy hormone. Interestingly, it is not the dopamine itself that the body becomes addicted to, but rather the effort required to secrete it. Suppose that there are two activities available for engagement. Firstly, reading books, and secondly, watching mobile. It has been observed that the majority of individuals prefer watching mobile over reading books. Although reading books does result in the release of dopamine, the body must exert more effort to obtain it, unlike scrolling mobile, which requires minimal effort. Consequently, the effort required for dopamine secretion is comparatively less when scrolling phone. Similarly, the consumption of one bowl of rice or chocolate both results in dopamine secretion, but the latter requires less effort. Our bodies tend to develop an addiction to activities that require less effort but yield high dopamine levels. This phenomenon aligns with the fourth criterion of Baber, which highlights the negative impacts of such activities on society. In the United States, metabolic syndrome and sugar-related diseases result in annual losses worth $215 billion, with productivity losses amounting to $65 billion, and the remaining resources being utilized for healthcare purposes. At present, a significant portion of the healthcare expenditure in the United States, amounting to 75, is directed towards treating illnesses that have arisen as a result of sugar consumption. This trend is also observable in India, where projections indicate that non-communicable diseases, NCDs, will lead to a loss of $3.55 trillion between 2012 and 2030, equivalent to the country's current GDP. The World Health Organization's WHO 2019 report reveals that 66 of fatalities are attributable to non-communicable diseases caused by sugar consumption. Despite the substantial economic and human costs incurred, the government has refrained from prohibiting sugar due to political considerations. India is the world's largest sugar producer and second largest exporter, but the economic losses outweigh the benefits of sugar exports. Kindly ensure that you comprehend the ensuing information with utmost diligence. The process of extracting and refining sugar takes place within sugar mills, which hold significant political affiliations. This is exemplified by the state of Maharashtra, which is the foremost producer of sugar in India. The sugar industry in India is categorized under cooperative societies, and each state has its own cooperative banks that extend loans to these sugar mills. The state cooperative bank governs the district central cooperative banks in each district, and this is also the case in Maharashtra. The Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank Limited supervises the district cooperative banks in 32 districts. However, these cooperative banks are dominated by MLAs and MPs of political parties, which enables sugar mill owners with strong political connections to obtain loans. We hereby declare that the statement in question is not being made by us. The NABARD report and the verdict of the Bombay High Court have both indicated that certain banks have provided pre-seasonal and short-term loans to certain mills. As per the NABARD report, these banks possess complete information regarding the financials of these mills, yet they continue to provide loans, which ultimately benefit the mill owners and their political associates. These mill owners engage in corrupt practices, resulting in increasing losses over time. However, they continue to receive loans due to political support, and only when the loan amount becomes substantial do they cease operations, claiming bankruptcy. In the year 2018, there were 178 registered cooperative sugar mills, out of which only 101 were operational, and the remaining 80 had to shut down due to losses worth 4,175 crores. Similarly, in the year 2019, 102 mills were operational, while the other 49 mills reported losses worth 2,474 crores. Consequently, in the sugar season of 2020-21, there existed a total of 175 registered cooperative sugar mills in Maharashtra, out of which only 95 were operational. The remaining 54 of mills were non-functional due to financial losses. It is evident that the number of mills is experiencing rapid fluctuations. Moreover, in cases where a sugar mill is heavily indebted, banks may resort to auctioning these mills. Regrettably, corruption often ensues as these banks are under the influence of politicians who may lease these mills to their relatives. Social activist Anna Hazare has expressed concern that the auctioning process lacks transparency and is subject to political manipulation. The bidding process, as well as the allocation of the mill, is controlled by politicians. Consequently, numerous cooperative mills are being transformed into private mills. chips, cold drinks, toffee, chocolate, tea, coffee, fruit juice, ice cream, pastries, and a bunch of other stuff that's loaded with sugar. And let's be real, we're consuming more sugar than ever before, not just from sugar packets we add to our drinks, but from all the sugary foods we're chowing down on. And you know what's crazy? The more we buy this stuff, the more money the government makes from taxes. But here's the thing, if sugar suddenly disappeared, all those sweet treats we love wouldn't be able to sell. But let's be real, all that sugar isn't exactly healthy, but there are some steps we can take to save lives and make things better. To regulate the consumption of sugary beverages and other sugar-based products, the government may consider implementing a sugar tax. Extensive research has demonstrated the efficacy of such a measure. By increasing the cost of sugar through taxation, consumers will be motivated to decrease their sugar consumption. Furthermore, the government should take measures to enhance food labeling and oversee marketing practices. Manufacturers of food products should be mandated to prominently display information regarding added sugar on product labels, facilitating informed decision-making by consumers when purchasing products. In contemporary markets, food products are frequently accompanied by labels inscribed in the English language. Regrettably, this poses a challenge for numerous consumers who are incapable of comprehending the contents of the products they procure. In conjunction with labeling, it is imperative to regulate marketing practices. For instance, products with elevated sugar content ought to be marketed with a lucid indication of their sugar levels. Ultimately, it is indispensable to endorse research and augment public awareness. The government should allocate funds towards research on sugar and disseminate the findings to the public to enlighten them on the consequences of sugar consumption. In order to regulate the use of sugar in an effective manner, it is imperative that the general public is made aware of its detrimental impact on health. Without this crucial knowledge, it will be arduous to exert pressure on the government to implement necessary regulations. It is noteworthy to mention that this issue is solely related to sugar. No hate for any political party. For more similar video, check description link.